Hey, this is Zulem Urbina, and tune into the relay for the latest news in boxing all around the world. Thank you for supporting myself and other female boxers. We truly appreciate it.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news. Ow!
Hey, sir, how are you?
Hey, John.
Yes, sir.
How are you? Listen,
Jesus,
I got us live. So you're on the speakerphone. We're on the Boxing Voice podcast. And listen, do you mind calling Leonard Ellerby about a fight with Rolly Romero? Give him a call. Devin has talked to Floyd via text, and he confirmed that Rolly might be available. And of course, you know we're available to do something with him. Can you just give him a talk and let's see if we can pursue it with Ellerby?
I think the reach out would be to Leonard, but also Al Heyman is his manager. So I think that there's two people that need to be talked to, and then primarily Al, because I think that that's where the rubber hits the road.
Okay.
With Riley's career. So
okay. So
obviously, they always say that they have their own agendas and ways to go and roadmap for their guide. But if it's a proposition that's out there and makes sense, I'm sure they'd be willing to take a look at it.
Okay. Well, good. Can you reach out to both, Leonard Ellerby and what's his name, and then just, as a follow up from Floyd and Devin texting back and forth about it, and Floyd said yes.
Okay.
All right.
That was Bill Haney, the father of Devin Haney, who very recently made an appearance on the Boxing Voice and is attempting to get the wheels in motion for a potential Devin Haney versus Rolly Romero fight. Rolly Romero signed up for KOs, who's always got such nice things to say about young Devin.
Right.
And I'm not against the fight, though realistically I don't expect it to happen because Rolly Romero is a TMT fighter after all. And the TMT would sooner feed Rolly Romero to Gervonta Davis before they would allow him to cross to some other side of the street to lose to someone else. Because a loss is right around the corner for Rolly Romero as soon as he steps up in competition. And I think this would be a step too far. Rolly Romero has neither the form...
Let's not overanalyze this.
Let's not beat around the bush. Let's not waltz around this one. Rolly isn't very good. The gift, decision over Marinez, the shit show we just saw with Diggett, Anthony Yiggett.
I'd pick Devin to beat him.
Anyway, you slice it. Points decision win? Maybe he scores a knockout because Rolly Romero has such poor form. One way or another, I'd bet on Devin Haney to beat Rolly Romero, and I'd bet generously I would. And, I don't actually think that fight materializes. I don't.
Even though Haney's a platform free agent.
He isn't contractually tied to any particular platform, any particular network here and now. I still don't think the TMT will do what they have to do to make the fight. I don't. I think they'd sooner feed Rolly Romero to Gervonta Davis and his highlight reel before they let him set foot in the ring with Devin Haney. And that doesn't mean that Rolly doesn't want the fight. Maybe Rolly does. Maybe Rolly himself would climb in there with Devin Haney because they do have a rivalry between them. But that same kind of rivalry exists between Rolly and Gervonta Davis.
So use your head.
Floyd Mayweather Jr. stated in plain English that when it comes to Gervonta, they're going to be keeping everything in-house. And Rolly Romero, he resides in that house. So which is the easier fight to make? Which fight is more likely to happen?
Leonard Ellerby said Davis ain't staying at 140.
No likelihood Gervonta Davis is going to move back down to the lightweight division, and when he does, they can make a fight between him and Rolly.
Just being honest here.
These kids can jump on social media and make as many dry threats to each other as they want. Bill Haney, he can make as many phone calls as he wants. I'm not holding my breath to see this fight materialize. It is more of the same for Devin Haney in the lightweight division, and it's for that reason I feel he should just abandon ship and move up.
If you got an interim title, that's a title to them. That's a title you're paying for. Why don't they say, you know what, we're going to strip this if you're not going to fight the champion?
I think they probably will in this process. I mean, don't forget they took that belt away from Ryan Garcia in the process because obviously he was having his rest from boxing when he was unwell. So I think they should do that, and I don't know. Like I never believe that fighters don't want to fight other fighters because they're incredibly brave and they're warriors. But I still struggle to see why Ryan Garcia doesn't want to fight Devin Haney, especially when he fought an eliminator to fight him, and even more so with Jojo Diaz. I mean, Jojo Diaz actually has a chance to become is it a 3-weight world champion? You know, I mean, like that. He's won a featherweight world title. He's won a super featherweight world title. He could win a lightweight world title against Devin Haney.
Yeah.
But, you know, Devin Haney's obviously very, very good. Yeah. Because let's be honest, let's make one thing clear. If Ryan Garcia's team and himself truly believed that they would beat Devin Haney, why wouldn't they fight him? There's a huge amount of money in the fight. There's a genuine world title on the line. You know, but you choose to fight Luke Campbell and Jojo Diaz. 2 good fights, but why not Devin Haney for a load more money and actually the real belt?
I don't romanticize the situation. I don't view it through rose-tinted lenses the way that some others do. There's something about Devin Haney that the Ryan Garcia people don't like. They'd rather fight for interim titles instead of the one that he holds. Ryan Garcia here today is not yet a cash cow. Ryan Garcia's people can't offer Devin Haney the kind of money Devin Haney is already making, but Devin Haney can offer Ryan Garcia a career-high purse. Devin Haney can provide Ryan Garcia with a situation that pays him better than most any and every other situation he's already been in already. These are the facts.
Fighting Diaz don't pay more than fighting Haney.
The only fight that Ryan Garcia could hope to have that would pay him more than a Devin Haney fight would is a Gervonta Davis fight, and that's not about to happen. So what's the excuse now? Why JoJo and not Devin?
Why fight for interim titles and not full ones?
To Devin's critics, why attack him for what's not on his resume when you don't want Ryan Garcia to fight him anyway? Or Gervonta Davis? Or any of these young, talented guys you're always capping for?
You're full of fucking shit.
What, you think I can't see what's going on here? You think I can't see the forest for the trees? You think I got blinders on? I know what's going on here. Put the mental gymnastics aside, and it's a very simple situation. There's people out there that don't like Devin, but they like Ryan. And what they're afraid of is that if Devin and Ryan fight each other, Devin's gonna win. So they advocate against the fight every chance they get. And they advocate against most any talented fighter fighting Devin Haney because they don't even want him to prove himself.
They already made up their mind about him.
You know, this isn't about poor little Devin. This is about the state of the lightweight division and what's happening whenever a division is overrun with American fighters. This is what goes on.
Everybody turns into a peacock.
Everybody's a prima donna. And as an American boxing fan, it has to be said that I don't care if Ryan knocks Devin's head clean off his shoulders or if Devin goes in there and embarrasses Ryan Garcia and exposes him. I just want to see the fight. I'm a fight fan that advocates for the fights.
It's about the fights for me.
All I can tell you is what I think, and you want to know what I think, and you're here, so I'll assume that you do. I think the Haney people want the Garcia fight more than the Garcia people want the Haney fight.
I think Ryan Garcia is viewed as more beatable.
Because he got dropped by a non-puncher in Luke Campbell, thus many of the lightweights contenders would willfully choose to fight Ryan over Devin because they feel they stand a better chance of beating him.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat the shit.
None of this is being said for love of Devin. No, I think that there are far more entertaining fighters to watch than Devin Haney, but if we're seeing what we're seeing, it's because people view Ryan as being more beatable than Devin. Devin is more defensively responsible than Ryan is.
Ryan got dropped by Luke.
The Luke that was beaten by Jorge Linares.
The Jorge Linares that was beaten by Devin Haney.
And don't give me the bullshit narrative about Jorge being past his best, because if he's past his best, then so was Luke Campbell when he fought Ryan.
Except Luke just retired. Jorge isn't.
Let's just can the crap already. Devin Haney himself, by way of his social media, added Lou DeBellia and said, "We reached out to you about a fight with Richard Commey. You said you would call us back. What happened? You guys haven't received an official offer from Loma. Let's make it happen." And look, I could go for Devin versus Commey the same way I could go for Lomachenko versus Commey. There's no distinction. Richard Commey is a dangerous fight for the both of those guys.
I like both of those fights.
I said it before. I'll say it again. You don't duck Devin Haney to fight Vasyl Lomachenko. That's not the way that works.
Shit, some people would argue he stands more of a chance of losing to Loma than losing to Devin.
So I have no real criticism to levy against Richard Commey, regardless of which direction he goes, whether he ends up fighting Devin or Vasyl Lomachenko. But the same cannot be said for Ryan Garcia, and the same cannot be said for Jojo Diaz. You just fought for an interim title that's supposed to get you in line for a Devin Haney fight. So how bad do you want it?
Of course, I don't see either of you kicking down his door for a fight.
And Gervonta Davis, I mean, you can fucking forget it. That kid's whole career is a goddamn joke.
Seldom ever seen a fighter need that much smoke and that many mirrors.
You ask me, why I get up in arms about this, and it's not about Devin, at least not all about Devin. It's about what happens to these divisions in the postmodern era of boxing once they become overrun with these American prospects and peacocks and prima donnas. The divisions themselves go stale, and you just get a lot of talking heads, a lot of morons who think they know this business, all these mental gymnastics.
Most of the time, it's the foreign guys taking all the risks.
The Nakatanis, the Commeys, the Lomachenkos. I mean, think about the run that he's on if he does get that Richard Commey fight. From Teofimo Lopez, a loss to him, to Masayoshi Nakatani, straight into the hard-punching Richard Commey. Most of the time, it's the foreign guys.
Not the American ones.
Oh, it's top-tier, top-shelf American talent so that Devin Haney can't get a fight with a Rolly Romero or Devontae Davis or a Ryan Garcia.
These asshats will just sit there making excuses for them.
This is the state of American boxing. In a nutshell, that's what this is. And I guess that these talking heads find it quite entertaining making excuses for fights not to happen as opposed to advocating that they do.
I don't know, man. I feel like Devin ought to just move up.
So that perhaps he'll find the smoke at 140 pounds that he's being deprived of at 135. In other news, an update on that ongoing Shakur Stevenson versus Jamel Herring situation. As I specified in my previous video, so long as that purse bid can be avoided,
Which it was.
the proposed split by the WBO between the champion and the challenger,
63 to the challenger.
63% to 37% to the champion,
Which is pretty ridiculous, by the way.
both parties have managed to reach agreeable terms amongst themselves without the WBO's proposed split in the event of a purse bid. Thus, Jamel Herring should get paid the way he wants to get paid for the fight. This had a lot of people pissed off. This had a lot of people up in arms. My thoughts on the fight, it's an excellent fight, and I was confident, still am confident, that they'll get it over the line, that the fight will get done, and we will see Jamel Herring defend his title against Shakur Stevenson. A lot of mixed feelings about this fight. It's easy to go with the hungry young lion in Shakur Stevenson, who, has a lot more upside than the reigning champion Jamel Herring, but I still don't think people are viewing this fight through the proper lens, especially in light of Shakur Stevenson's last performance, which was a lackluster performance.
You can be dominant and still fail to impress.
Because in my eyes, that's what Shakur Stevenson was against Nick Thalia. He definitely controlled the fight, most of it, and he definitely won the fight. It wasn't a hard fight to score, but it wasn't a fight you'd write home about either.
Performance wasn't.
We heard Shakur Stevenson post-fight make some mention of Nick Thalia's punching power. That might explain why Shakur Stevenson chose to be as defensively responsible as he was, and that's not a knock on him, you understand. You do what you gotta do inside of the squared circle. You do what you gotta do in the ring. But if a guy like Nick Thalia, not tested, battle tested at world level, if that kind of guy can get that kind of respect from you, a more educated jabber, a more battle tested fighter, more proven, a reigning champion.
What kind of response is he gonna get from you?
I see people talking about this fight, and they're under the impression that Shakur Stevenson's going to have it easy. He's going to have it all his way against Jamel Herring when he didn't have it all his way against Nick Thalia.
That's what makes the fight interesting to me.
Makes it intriguing. I think that a lot of people, ESPN and Top Rank included, are overselling Shakur Stevenson's abilities. That's right. He's no pretty boy Floyd. Yet, in the build-up of the Nick Thalia fight, you often heard those comparisons from the horse's mouth, and I don't see it that way.
Who's fought the better quality of competition?
Yeah, Jamel Herring. He's been in there with Denis Shafikov and Masayuki Ito and Lamont Roach, and more recently, Farrell Crampton.
He is the more experienced fighter.
And he has faced the better quality of competition. Granted that it didn't always go his way, and it wasn't always easy, but he brings those experiences to the table with Shakur Stevenson.
They're both southpaws.
They're both jabbers. They're both cerebral fighters. They're not artillery guys, pressure guys. No.
These guys don't go out there just winging shots.
I think you gotta give Shakur Stevenson the edge in speed. I think comparatively, he's the faster fighter of the two fighters in the fight. Jamel is the more match-rated fighter. I'd also wager that Jamel might be the stronger puncher,
Because he's a grown man.
who's already come into his grown man's strength, whereas Shakur Stevenson, not sure the same can be said, and so far, Shakur Stevenson hasn't proven to be all that concussive a puncher. At least not yet.
Power and experience might have to go to Jamel.
And I think speed and stamina, not fading down the stretch, that would have to go to Shakur.
And it's intriguing. It's very intriguing.
I mean, if you are going with Shakur Stevenson to win, I can understand that. I can see how you got there. But this idea, this notion that Jamel Herring isn't going to give him any problems, I guess that's what I'm struggling with.
Shakur isn't exactly mowing these guys down, you know.
He's not mowing down lesser fighters than Jamel Herring, so where do you get he's going to mow him down?
In any event, it's a good fight.
And I'm looking forward to it this fall. Finally, Mick Conlan. This Friday, he's set to take on former IBF Super Bantamweight champion TJ Doheny. You might remember that some time ago, TJ Doheny, he beat Iwasa for the IBF title, attempted to unify it with the then WBA champion Daniel Roman. Daniel won that fight. That's how he became a unified champion, subsequently lost those 2 world titles to MJ Akhmadaliev in the Super Bantamweight division, whereas this fight between Mick and TJ, this is at featherweight, 126 pounds, both fighters.
They're featherweights now.
Apparently, Friday's all-Irish Conley-Doheny clash now has a title up for grabs, after the WBA approved that the winner would become WBA interim champion in the featherweight division. An interesting development because essentially what this does is line up the winner of the fight to challenge either Lee Wood, who just became this division's WBA Reggie champion, or Leo Santa Cruz. The less likely, Leo Santa Cruz, who for whatever reason still holds a title here, even though he hasn't fought as a featherweight 2 years.
It's likelier that the winner challenges Lee Wood.
That is contingent upon what Kansu, former regular WBA champion Kansu, decides to do next moving forward, because apparently he's got a rematch clause. I don't know if by the time this video is uploaded, he will have activated said rematch clause, but Lee Wood, he might have to do the dance with that guy one more time
To see if he can hang on to that belt.
And I guess that the silver lining for me is I actually like the idea of Lee Wood versus Mick Conlan. I do like Mick Conlan to win this Friday against his countryman TJ Doheny. TJ, he's about 34 years old.
The belt tolls for thee.
Mick Conlan, he's a good kid. Often gets mixed reviews. I've seen a lot of people really aren't all that impressed with him. I understand that, I really do. But for this fight, given Mick's amateur background,
Olympic pedigree.
he's a young guy entering into his prime years. I like Mick Conlan to win a decision. And just beyond that fight, if Lee Wood can hang on to that WBA baby belt, maybe the interim champion, which in this scenario would be Mick Conlan, maybe the interim champion can take on the Reggie champion, Lee Wood. It's an intriguing little fight, it really is. If Mick Conlan can become the WBA's interim champion at 126 pounds, I can see Mick moving on from that to fight Lee Wood. Not Leo Santa Cruz, not so much, because Leo is an absentee champion, has been an absentee champion for the past 2 years, and lest we forget, he's on PBC's Isolation Island, whereas Mick's with Top Rank.
You know what time it is.
And you know the drill. But I'll tell you something. I like Lee Wood versus Conlan as a fight. It tickles my fancy, and let's see if that's something that can happen beyond this Friday's fight.